Greetings, greetings, greetings. Thank you for joining me. This is a very serious topic at hand. This particular demonstration is going to be about healing trauma in the Black community. Let me make a disclaimer. I am not a medically trained doctor, psychologist, or psychiatrist. This presentation is for informational and inspirational purposes, with the hopes that those who may suffer from this condition of PTSD will seek the appropriate qualified help, whatever you see that appropriate qualified help to be. So first, let's deal with the definition of heal. The definition of heal says to make free from injury or disease, to make sound or whole, to heal a wound, to make well again, to restore health, heal the sick, to cause, to overcome an undesirable condition, to mend. Example, the troubles had not been forgotten, but they had been healed. Okay? To patch up or correct, you get the message. Heal a breach between friends, to restore to original purity or integrity. See, that's what we're talking about. To become free from injury or disease, to return to a sound state. So we're talking about healing trauma or healing from trauma in the Black community. So health is a condition of being sound in body, mind, or spirit, especially freedom from physical disease or pain. A condition in which someone or something is thriving or doing well, well-being. Okay, so that's what we're looking at here. So now let's define trauma. Trauma is a deeply distressing or disturbing experience. A personal trauma like the death of a child, God forbid. Or in medicine, a trauma is a physical injury. What are three types of trauma? Okay. Now, in the psychological context, the term trauma means an emotional response to a deeply distressing event or disturbing event. Maybe a sudden loss of a loved one, an accident, rape, or a natural disaster. A person subjected to trauma may respond in several ways. They may be in a state of shock, extreme grief, or denial. Okay? So we know besides the psychological symptoms, trauma can lead to physical symptoms, such as headaches, lethargy, and nausea, etc. But apart from the immediate short-term response, trauma may also give rise to several long-term reactions in the form of emotional liability, flashbacks, impulsiveness, and strained relationships. Emotional liability refers to rapid or exaggerated changes in mood, where strong emotions or feelings like uncontrollable laughing or crying or heightened irritability occur. So, excuse me, did I say emotional liability? I meant emotional lability or lability. Okay, so I just defined that here. It refers to rapid, often exaggerated changes in mood and shifts. And you may, if you think of yourself, we want you, when speaking about trauma, think of experiences, your own experiences. Think of experiences that you may have had. Think of experiences that you may have witnessed, family members, friends, people in the community with these type of dispositions, these type of symptoms, okay? Because a lot of times, you know, people are traumatized and reacting out of trauma and we don't realize it. And they themselves don't realize it, or we ourselves may not realize that we're acting out of a result of being injured emotionally, spiritually, physically. So some people may be affected a lot more than others. Such people may be entrapped in the emotional impact of the trauma and find it difficult to move on with their lives. Such long-term manifestation of trauma can lead to a psychological condition called PTSD. We know that, of course, post-traumatic stress disorder. Now, I want to state that you are not alone. This is called healing trauma in the Black community. Okay? not just in the Black individual. Individuals collectively make up community, make up families, collective families make up community, okay? You are not alone, okay? You know how some people say, I was born alone and I'm gonna die alone. No, you're not. Cut it out. Cut it out. No one is in reality born alone. You may have been born separately from everybody else, but you were not born alone because your mama was there, helping to push your big head out of her.
You can do it. Hold that air in.
There you go.
Push down, push down, push down, push down, push down, push down. Good job. Come on, you can do it, you can do it, you can do it. Take a breath. Another deep breath in and push down.
Again.
And if someone was there, doctor, nurse, doula, midwife, etc., to help catch you. Okay? And depending on your belief system, when we leave here, when we so-called die, we're not alone either, because someone's there to help escort you to wherever you're going to go. So we are not alone. And so therefore, when people experience a traumatic situation, a traumatic experience, 9 times out of 10, it's another person that is involved in that situation, directly or indirectly. Okay? Therefore, healing trauma many times requires a collective effort. That's the point that I'm getting at. Healing community trauma requires a community effort. That's what I'm talking about. So, 3 types of trauma. We got acute trauma, which mainly results of a single distressing event. Accidents, rape, assault, natural disaster. It can be extreme enough to threaten a person's emotional and physical security. And so these type of events really impress upon the spirit or the subconscious mind, okay? And if not addressed through some type of medical help or some type of process of moving through that experience in a healthy way, it could affect the way that you think and behave, okay? So let's look at chronic trauma. That happens when a person is exposed to multiple long-term or prolonged distressing traumatic events over an extended period. Y'all can see where we're going now. We know what we've been through within our community for the last 400 or 500 years as a people in this country. We know what we've been through. It's been a prolonged traumatic event for an extended period. Could we agree on that? Complex trauma is a result of exposure to varied and multiple traumatic events or experiences. The events are generally within the context of an interpersonal relationship between people. So not just between people, individuals, but what about people groups?
BeatStars.com.
It may give the person a feeling of being trapped. Complex trauma often has a severe impact on a person's mind. It may be seen in individuals who have been victims of childhood abuse, neglect, domestic violence, family disputes, and other repetitive situations such as civil unrest. And I will add here, racism. So let's look at the evidence of 3 types of trauma in the Black community. Because you say, we talking about healing trauma in the Black community, the acute, chronic, and complex trauma. Well, what's the evidence that we have them? Do we have neglected neighborhoods? Do we see stress-related illnesses such as hypertension, diabetes, heart disease, strokes, etc.? Yes, we do. Do we see addiction? Yes, we do. Do we see festering multi-generational unresolved problems like poverty, family breakdown, single mothers, fatherless homes, etc.? Yes, we do. Do we see poor education? Yes, we do. Do we have poor health? Of course. Violence.
BeatStars.com.
The violence problem been perpetuating for decades now. It's ridiculous, of course. We haven't solved this yet. How come? And then think of all the families and the people, the witnesses of violence, the victims of violence that are traumatized. Have they went through therapy? Have they really healed? And then do we see the fight, flight, freeze, or feed elements in the community? Yes, we do. Constant conflict with neighbors or other neighborhoods, and other, just that's the fight aspect. Constant attempts to escape from problems via drugs, alcohol, chemical food, sex, TV, or social media, etc. How does all this affect us? How has it affected us? How does it continue to affect us? Trauma affects the brain. So in the brain, we have the lower brain, which is the animal brain, and the higher brain. The animal brain consists of the reptilian and the mammalian brain.
BeatStars.com.
The hypothalamus area. The higher brain consists of the cortex, the prefrontal lobes. Now, this is not a course on the brain, but we need to know some key things about the brain and understand that certain damage happens through trauma that affect the part of the brains that we need to function efficiently and optimally.
BeatStars.com.
When faced with physical danger, a process begins in the hypothalamus that leads to the survival response hormone, cortisol, being released to get the body ready for fight or flight. The human being is not designed to function under constant prolonged stress. Constant prolonged stress, which is initiated by the human being's software, perception, preconditioning, mental program, spirit, or subconscious mind, that's the software of the body mind, eventually weakens and damages the human's hardware, which is the brain, nervous system, vital organs. So if you are in prolonged state of stress, you're damaging your vital organs, your brain, your nervous system. 7 by Round F. Ahmed, he states the life force is under the direct control and direction of a certain type of thoughts in your mind. These are the thoughts that make up your convictions of what kind of being you are and what type you are within this typology, human or divine. So who do you think you are? Who we think we are has a lot to do with certain events, and if we process and experiencing these events as traumatic or not, and if they're traumatic, are we able to overcome the trauma? The basis of being able to overcome the trauma is knowing that you are not the experience, knowing who and what you are.
Who do you think you are?
Healing the brain from emotional trauma. There's something called neuroplasticity. It's the ability of the brain to form or reorganize synaptic connections, especially in response to learning or experience or following an injury. The brain can reorganize and heal itself. A healthy, balanced brain is the key to balanced sound perception and appropriate responses to situations. The brain acts as the hub of the wheel of our life. The nervous system can be likened to the spokes of a wheel, while the body is the rim. When the hub is out of balance, everything else is affected. Instead of enjoying a relatively smooth and almost effortless ride through life, our days are often marked by drama and trauma. Brain training facilitates brain balance. It's like loading a ship so that it's level on the ocean. An unbalanced brain is like driving an automobile with multiple tires out of balance. It shakes and shimmies. Same with a brain that has one or more of its regions out of balance. In such a state, it's impossible to live a life of excellence. So what I'm here to say that unresolved trauma has a physical and functional effect on the brain, literally. But there's healing available for this process. When the brain is balanced and in harmony, it can have dramatic positive effect on the mind and body. A very helpful step towards well-being and optimal performance. Athletes perform better. Writers, musicians, and artists achieve greater creativity and artistic expression. Individuals previously stuck in mediocrity fulfill their potential. People gain more clarity about their life's journey. So, healing the brain. The brain is a communal device. Now, Dikatisa Ngozi Let's talk about that. Now we into these solutions even further. Remedy. Dikatisa Ngolo. This Essential Warrior book is by my teacher, Living Beyond Doubt and Fear, Shaha Mfundisi Masi. He's the founder of the School of Heaven and Earth, the founder of Kupagana and Gumi. He is an accomplished master of various meditation and martial arts and science.
BeatStars.com.
Dikatisa Ngolo is the art and science of regenerating power. It utilizes methods that stimulates the natural energy of the body-mind to stimulate and accelerate the natural healing process inherent within the human organism.